तो शुरू करते हैं without wasting a time. In the last few couple of videos so far, we have seen that how we can integrate, how we can provision the ACI infrastructure with the help of Terraform. And so far, I have introduced the two objects in the Terraform. One is this provider block object, and one is the resource block Terraform. And in today video, I will introduce the another object in the Terraform, that is the data. Okay, we'll see how the data block how we can use the data object. So in this code, I have already explained you, this is the Terraform, this is the provider block which we use to get the required provider, where the way in which infrastructure we need to provision the configuration. Like here in our case, our provider is ACI, and here in this provider block I am passing the what is the credential required. So let me close this block. So I am closing this block also, and we have also understood how VLAN pool we can create on the ACI, correct, and how we can get this detail from the Terraform side. And same way, we have also understood this ACI range block, correct. In the ACI range block is also I'm closing, and this physical domain and so far till the AEP we covered in the last video. After today we'll cover how we can create the CDP and LLDP config for the interface policy, like in the IPG when we create IPG interface policy group in the ACI. So we have to if the requirement is we need to connect the multiple policy with that IPG group. So we have to create the first individual policy, like for the CDP on, LLDP on, NCP, correct. So here I'm taking the example of two policies, CDP and LLDP, okay, and I'm using the resource object. Okay, and this is the resource object name according to Terraform document ACI CDP interface policy, and here I am putting the name CDP dash on. So this name will be the reference name which we use by the Terraform, and this is the CDP underscore on. Okay, I'm keeping this name, that this object will be created with this name on the ACI. Okay, here I'm doing the admin state is enabled, and description I'm putting this config push from the Terraform. Similar way for the ACI LLDP interface policy, to enable the LLDP, we have, and this is a object name, okay, as per the Terraform documentation, and we are putting the variable, what are the variable required. Okay, once we have this, once we create the LLDP and CDP configuration on the ACI, okay, so this is the object I'm talking about. So today we are introducing this new Terraform object data. So far we have seen that two type of object, one is the provider object, one is the resource object. Okay, so what is the use of data object is, as you can use that data block requires the Terraform read from a given data structure, given data source, and export the result under the given local name. The name is used to refer to the resource from the elsewhere in the same Terraform module, but has no significance outside the scope of the module. So this means that let's suppose we have already some element is already created in the ACI. Okay, already this LLDP policy exists. So what we want to do, we want to fetch the value of that. So here with this data block, we will be able to read those values. Okay, let's here I create the CDP LLDP configuration with the help of data object. I am reading those values. So that's the reason I have defined this. Because I want to call this CDP and LLDP interface policies in the IPG. So I first have read with the help of data block. So this is the structure how it looks like. Data, here is the object name, and here I'm again putting the reference name. Okay, with that we'll be able to read that. Here you can see that I'm creating the IPC interface policy group. As we have seen while we get the IPC policy group, so first thing we have to attach the AEP, and second thing we have to attach the individual policies. Like here I'm attaching the CDP policy, I'm referring data, this one here you can see that ACI, correct, ACI CDP interface, data dot ACI CDP interface dot CDP on. Okay, this is the thing I'm putting here. Similar way for LLDP, data dot ACI this object and this object reference number. Okay, similar way we are getting a relation for this. We have to attach the ACI AEP, attachable accessibility profile, also in the IPG. So I'm putting the above block, where here is the AEP block which we have created in the last video. So AEP, again AEP dot AEP infra we are putting here in this. Okay, so further we have this interface profile. We have to create the interface profile. Here we are using the resource ACI leaf interface profile, and here I'm putting the name. for this interface profile will be IPR-L101. Okay, we are putting this name. And once we have an interface profile, so in the interface profile we have to do the two things. First we things like the port selector, we'll put the port name, port 1 I'm putting the name. Okay, and after that you put the port number. This is the 1/1 ETH1/1 port I'm calling in this port block. And in the interface or port selector, I am putting the only define the name. What will be the port name for the ETH1/1 object? I am giving the object name port 1. And in the port sector we have to call the IPG. When we create the interface profile, in the interface profile, in the interface selector we have to call the IPG. So here in the previous which we have created the here IPG policy, this policy name I am calling here ACI leaf access port policy group dot IPG infra from here. Once we have this, so here we are putting the port number. So in the port number we have to put the port selector. So this object is again calling ACI access port selector dot port 1. Okay, here I am calling. Once we have this leaf interface profile, we have to create the leaf profile, or we can say switch profile. Here I'm calling the leaf profile. In the leaf profile we have to put the again two things. One with the interface profile will call in the leaf profile. Okay, here we are calling the relation object we are calling, and here we are putting the ACI leaf which we have created here interface profile. This profile we are calling. Okay, resource. No, this is the port sector. This is here into this one. ACI leaf interface profile IPR, and here I'm calling ACI leaf interface profile dot IPR leaf 101 dot ID. Okay. Similar way as we have done for the interface profile, we have to call the leaf selector, which is select the leaf 101 we are selecting. And after that we need, so here we have defined the name only, and here we select the block. Okay, like we have selected the port block, here we select the node block. So this is the configuration, this is the code we have. So let's push this code to the ACI for provisioning these resources. As in the first video, we already covered the menu configuration. Here I am putting the how objects are interrelated with each other in the ACI while we do the configuration for this different object. Here we can see that in order to push the configuration of the VLAN, so our requirement is we need to configure the VLAN on the interface. Let's suppose we have to configure the VLAN 500. So first we have to get the VLAN pool, correct? Once the VLAN pool is there, after we proceed with the physical domain. In the physical domain we call this VLAN pool object, and after we get the AEP in the global policy, and after that in the AEP we call this physical domain. And once we're done with these three objects, we proceed for the IPG interface policy group. In the interface policy group, we have to call the AEP and individual policy. What are the policy on the interface we want to put? Like we want to enable CDP, LLDP, okay, these are the individual policy we are calling. Once we're done with the IPG, we need to proceed with the IPR interface profile. In the interface profile, we need to call the IPG interface policy group. And in the IPR, we need to select the interface selector. Interface selector with the IPG will come, and we need to set the port block where we mention the port number 1/1, correct? Like here we're taking this example. And once we're done with the interface profile, we need to proceed with the leaf profile. Leaf profile will take the reference of interface profile. In the leaf profile, we need to attach the interface profile. And in the leaf profile, we also select the leaf selector where we call the leaf profile. Okay, and node block where we select the node number. On the tenant side, we have to create the application profile. In the application profile, we get the endpoint group. In the endpoint group, two things we need to attach: physical domain, which we have created here in the access policy, and one more thing is bridge domain interface that will get the video on the tenant side. So far, in the configuration which we are trying to push from the Terraform, we have covered this object. Earlier in the last video, we have covered this VLAN pool, physical domain, and this still so far AEP. Now in today's video, we are covering from VLAN pool to so far this the other object. So you can keep this reference in mind. So with this keep in mind, this will help us to create this can help us you to create the Terraform code or Terraform configuration. So before jumping on the configuration, let's first visit the Terraform site. So here I am in the Terraform site, and I search for the ACI provider. Okay. So in the for the provider block, we have to just click on the use provider, so we get the code. Okay, and here we have to pass the we can copy paste this code, and in the provider ACI below, here we can pass the credential, username, password, and epic URL. And once you will click on the documentation, so here we have documentation in the access policy. We have all of the configuration related to the fabric access policy. So in this video, we are going to create the interface policy group. Let's search for the policy underscore group IPG. We have to create first. So here we can see that here we have a leaf access port policy group, ACI leaf access port policy group. So this is the first object I have created, IPG in the code we have seen, and here we have an argument reference. Once we create this IPG, once we give the name to the IPG policy group with this object, resource object, and with this reference number with this variable. After that, we need to attach the LLDP. Here is the relation object for the LLDP, which we are calling, and second we are calling is the CDP. So you will find CDP also somewhere here. Here is the CDP, and then we need to attach the AEP. So here is the object for the AEP. Okay. Similar way, once we have an IPG interface policy group, we need to go for the port selector. Okay. Similar way, we can select for the IPG. Then we need to go for the interface profile. In the interface profile, if you search for the interface profile, ACI leaf interface profile. This is the object we have. So ACI leaf interface profile we can create with this object. Here is the code, and in the interface profile we need to call the interface selector. So we will select for the interface selector. So interface selector is here resource selector. Interface selector should be there. So not showing, it should be interface, not it should be, I think, port selector. Then search for the port selector. Port selector. Here it is, we have an ACI access port selector. So this is the object I'm using, which would be called under the interface profile. And here is asking for the if we have to attach the policy group, and you have to attach the policy group. So this will take the reference. And here is asking for the interface profile also. Here we give the interface profile reference. In the interface port selector, we call a port block. So we search for the ACI, is the ACI access port block. So this is the code for the port block, and port block will take the reference of the interface port selector, which we have searched previously. And after that, we have to code the leaf profile or switch profile. Leaf profile. Here is the ACI leaf profile. In the leaf profile, we need a node block, leaf selector. In the leaf selector, we need a node block. Okay. So these are the things we need to define with respect to leaf profile. And the leaf profile, we have to so these are the things IPG will call. Okay. And the leaf profile will call the interface profile. So here with the leaf selector required system association, this is the required optional relation access port. So this is the IPG. Here with this object we can create the relation with the interface profile. As you have seen in the code, once you push for the leaf profile, we need to take the reference of interface profile. So interface profile access port, that will come to the access port. So this one reference to take the attached interface profile with the leaf profile. So let's push the code. First we have to initialize the Terraform. Terraform init. This will download the required plugin. After that, we need to plan. Let me save my plan in my plan. For TF is the extension for the Terraform files. Once we have this plan is ready, in this plan, Terraform will show us what are the object he is going to create. Okay. So you will create the 13 object. Okay. Once we have a plan, after that we need to apply this plan. This way we can apply Terraform apply. Okay. So it's creating the leaf interface profile, wheel and all the stuff is doing. Attachable and node block is creating. So all the object which you define the code is created. Apply is complete. So let's jump to the now our epic. Okay. Here is our epic. In the epic, let's verify. First we'll verify. Let's go to the fabric. Then go to the access policy. Let's start from the pools. So here we have a wheel and pool is created. 100 to 200 is the range is there. After that we have a physical domain. In the physical domain, here you can the PHYDOM-INFRA dash infra we have created. Okay, this small icon you can also see, correct. This object were created by the Terraform. Okay, so once we have done this physical domain and pools, then we have to check in the policy. In the policy here in the global policy, we have to verify AEP we have created. So it is that AEP, and that AEP is calling the physical domain. Once we're done with this policy, we need to go for the interface IPG interface policy group. Here you can see then leaf access policy. Terraform created the IPG dash infra object. Okay. In the infra, we have attached the in the IPG we have attached the three things: CDP on, LLDP on, and then AEP. Once we done that with the IPG, we need to proceed for the interface profile, leaf interface profile. In the profile, you can the IPR-L101, and the leaf profile we need to go with the port block and port select interface selector and port selector. In the port selector, we need to call the IPG. So this is how we can see that port 11/1 and IPG infra is attached. Okay. After that, we have to go with the switch profile, leaf profile, and the switch and the leaf switch. So here we have a leaf profile. Leaf 101 profile is Terraform created. In the leaf profile, it have called the leaf 101 name and leaf block, and it have also attached the IPR. In the associated interface selector profile, we have an IPR profile. Okay. So this is the configuration we have posted. Thank you.